Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be making an explosion box using this Pretty Perennials stamp set and the coordinating paper, which is actually in the celebration catalogue, so you can get it free when you spend £45 in either January or February. So with the papers you get 12 by 12 sheets. You get 2 each of 6 designs, so these are the designs. They've got large florals on one side and they've got patterns on the other side. So you can see they're beautiful papers, and that's what we're going to be using most of today. So we're going to start by cutting and scoring the box. So for the base, I've got a 6.5 inch by 9 inch sheet of Night of Navy cardstock, and I'm going to score that at 3 inches and at 6 inches. So I'm showing you how to create this using an A4. So I'm showing you how to create this using what you can get out of an A4 sheet of cardstock. But if you've got 12 by 12 Night of Navy, then you can cut it to 9 by 9 and still score at 3 and 6 inches, and you won't have to do the bit in a minute where we cut off a panel and stick it on. So that's actually a neater way of doing it if you happen to have that around. So then I'm going to score this way at 3 inches and then 6 inches as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cutting blade and I'm going to cut to 1/2 inch that side, and then I'm going to skip to 3.5 inches, and then I'm going to cut it to the end, and I'm going to do the exact same on the other score line. So at 3 inches I'm going to cut to 3.5, and then I'm going to cut to 1/2. So I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to place this on the score line again, so that's at 3.5 inches. And I'm going to cut this time to 3 inches. And then I'm going to cut back to 6 inches. Ooh. So I've just cut off those 2 corners. If you don't have a trimmer like mine that has the scoreboard and the cutting blade, or it's hard to tell on yours, then you can always do this bit with scissors. So then I'm just going to place this 1/2 inch mark on my cutting line. And then I'm just going to cut that again back to 6 inches and then up to 3 inches. So then I've got this piece that looks like this, and I'm just going to trim the corners off of that, just the flat one. So I'm just trimming down to the score line. Then I'm going to fold on all the score marks. And then I'm going to take one of the pieces that I cut off the side, and I'm just going to glue that onto there. So then for the lid, I've got a 6 inch square piece of cardstock, I'm going to look at the 5 1/4 line, and I'm going to go one above there. I'm going to score it there. And then I'm going to look at the 4 1/2 line, and I'm going to score 1/8 above that as well. Now I'm going to do that on each side. So one above the 5 1/4, so an 1/8 of an inch above the 5 1/4 line, and then an 1/8 of an inch above the 4 1/2 line. And we're going to do that on every side. So then I'm going to just fold all the score lines. And then in each corner, I'm going to cut up to the second score line there, up to the second score line there. Then I'm going to cut this on the first score line, and this one on the second score line. So it creates a step in the corner with a flap. So we're going to go up to the second line, up to the second line again, and then we're going to, might be easier to think of it as cutting this one at the second one, and then this one at the first one. So you create that step. So then once you've got this step with the tab in each corner, we just want to cut the corners off the tab. And we're also going to cut the corners off the end bit on each side. So we're just cutting little triangles out the tab and little corners up to the first score line on each side. So then when you've finished, it should look something like that. And it doesn't matter if your tabs come this way or this way, it will do the same job all the way. So then I'm going to take my tear and tape, and I'm going to put a little bit of tear and tape just next to the score line on each of the tabs. And then I'm just going to tear off the tape. I'm just going to add this on like this. So then I'm just going to add some tape to the inside of each of these flaps. And then we're just going to fold each of these tabs in like this. And that creates a reinforced lid, which makes it stronger, but it also hides the tab, so it makes it look nicer as well. And it leaves it so it's a nice folded edge instead of a raw edge. So if you watch my YouTube channel a lot, you'll see that I do this with a lot of my boxes because I just prefer the finish. I think it makes it look more premium. Right, so then we've got the base of our box. So that just pops on there. So now's the fun bit, decorating it. So I'm going to keep the outside quite simple. I've got 4 pieces of paper here that measure 2 3/4 inches square. So I'm going to pop those around the outside. And this is that lovely Perennials paper that I showed you earlier. And remember, if you're using a directional paper, remember that these are going to be folding up. So you want the top facing outwards from the centre. So like this piece, I'll have that facing outwards because that's clearly going up that way. And then I've got 4 pieces here measuring 3 inches by ½ inch, and we'll stick those round the edge of the lid. And then I've got this piece of paper, and I'm just going to cut out some of the flowers to decorate the lid of the box. So I'm going to go with this pink one here. I'm just cutting a little border on the outside. And then I'm going to also cut out this one next to it. So I'm just going to bend this top one up a little bit, just scrunch it a little bit, just to add a little bit of dimension. And then I'm going to pop that on top of the pink one. So I'm going to glue the pink one down first. And in fact, I think I'm going to cut off this leaf. And I'm actually going to glue that with this pink one as opposed to the other pink one. So I'll add that to the top. And add this just here. And then I think I'm going to add a dimensional to the bottom of this one. And then just going to add that on top of it. So that's our pretty lid. So let's go to decorating the inside now. So I've got 2 more pieces of this for the inside, and I'm going to make sure to put one of those on this side so that it covers up that seam and you don't see the seam. And then here I've got just a piece of Whisper White cardstock that's also 2 3/4 inches. And this is a Pretty Perennials stamp set that coordinates with the papers we've been using. I'm going to use the Happy. It'll go off the sides a little bit, but I'm happy with that. And then the birthday. I'm going to pick those up together so that I know that they're where I want them. I'm just going to take the Night of Navy ink . And then I'm just going to stamp that on here. Now I'm just going to take this small flower here, and I'm going to just stamp that a few times in Rococo Rose. And then I'm going to take this here. I'm just going to stamp that in some of the Night of Navy, just into the centre of the flowers. And then I'm just going to stamp that a few more times round as well. Then that will go on the top. And then this is a piece of this paper that we used earlier, cut down to 2 3/4 inches square. So that will go down here. So then where this matches this one, I'm just going to cut round the green and the pink flowers. So I'm just going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals and I'm going to pop them on the back there. And then I'm just going to turn this over and I'm just going to trim the edges that we don't want. So then finally I've used this mini curvy keepsake die to cut this out of some of the papers that we've been using. And so I'm just going to fold all the score lines on there and then I'm just going to curve it round. And I find that it does help if you curve this before you try and put it together. And then you just fold these back. And they can go like this in the middle. And then pop that on there. So then that can go in the middle, and then we can fold the sides up and put that on the lid. And then we've got a really cute bit of birthday packaging, so it looks really pretty. And then unfolds to make that really lovely packaging. You could put a little piece of jewellery in here, chocolate, whatever you fancy really. Be actually a really nice way if you're going to give someone some money, you could fold that up in there. Just think it's a really nice thing to give as packaging on somebody's birthday. So that's our project finished today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe to see future projects. If you press the bell button and select all, you also get notifications when I've got a new project online. All of the projects that we've used in today's project are listed in the description below, and there's also a host code there which you can pop into your basket before you check out. And if you do that, then I'll send you a free gift after the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.